Well, hello everybody. I want to do a live. I think it's that time to clear the air on vaccines, vaccination, all of it, by the numbers, by history, human history, evolution, and where we're at. A lot of people don't realize that that our life expectancies have only recently increased from an average of 35 years old to 70 years old and even plus. The truth is, life expectancies have only recently, in very recent history, with the introduction of vaccinations, gone up and gone up considerably. In fact, in most of the living population's history today, there was no governmental, and I repeat, no governmental pension plans. In Canada alone, we didn't see a pension plan until the 60s. So people don't realize, they think that somehow there's a big conspiracy of vaccines destroying people and governments looking to lower the population. I've said and I'll say again, these wealthy elites, they're always and forever and a day through the history of man, always looking for the fountain of youth. Vaccines have made massive steps forward to allow people to live extremely long, considering we can look at just 150 years ago, people only lived to 35. Vaccines first introduced 200 years ago, a little over 200 years ago in England. And of course, USA really got on board. And in fact, USA is the first country to introduce pension plans because citizens lived longer. Now, it went through the first world. We see the average age increases. This is modern history, folks. This isn't 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, 300 years ago. We're literally talking in the last really 100 years. It's 2020. We're literally talking about from the 20s onward, where we really start to see people's life expectancies grow because of monumental achievements in vaccination. That is the number one source of why human beings today live as long as they do. That's the truth. People can say, oh, no. It is. History is a record. History is real, credible, and verifiable. Go look 200 years ago at the average life expectancy of the average American. Go look at it. I would love to do Canada, but Canada isn't there yet in statistics. But go look 150 years ago. Go look at pension plans. You work till you die because the average person didn't make it past 35 years old. Pension plans in Canada, we just got it just in 1960s. Before that, there was none. No insurance. No one needed it, folks, because people didn't live long enough on average to enjoy any of these things or have these worries. You worked till you died. We're not talking Jesus' time, 32 years old, or 200 years ago, 35 years old. We're talking about now, in this century, this last century, these monumental changes. And you can look at our whole social programs that have been rolled out. It's all relatively new, folks. All relatively new. I remember my father telling me a story about an accident he had in the early 60s with his vehicle and being sued because there was no insurance. Folks, this is reality. I know people don't like to look at it, but look at the turn of the century and look at the average life expectancies. They've shot up. If you look at 150, 200 years, they shot up from 35 to now well over 70, depending on your country. people asking me, and I get a lot of messages. I get a loud voice of the anti-vax. Well, we've gone through it with the mRNA vaccinations now. Most Canadians have had 2 shots and 3 shots, some even more than that, but the majority have had the 2 and the 3rd. And you know what? There isn't any mass deaths. There's no anyone gone. And we're going to talk about exactly mRNA as it really is. And folks, you got to understand this, because there's a boatload ton of misinformation and disinformation. Because I promise you, if we removed vaccinations from this earth, even these mRNA vaccinations, the average Canadian wouldn't make it from birth to 35. That is the extent of the human being if you didn't take any vaccinations, none whatsoever. Now, mRNA, I want to explain this and what this technology is as best I can. Now, vaccines up until mRNA and these new mRNA, it was for viruses. We're talking about viruses. So I'm going to show you my hard hat. This is a human cell. See the size of it? That's the size of a human skull, right? If I was to grab something like a virus, it would be basically that much of a penny, that much, like a quarter of a penny, not even, attaching itself to your cell. Do you know how small a human cell is? Extremely nanomillimeter small. A virus like coronavirus, 2,000 times smaller than the cell. There is no cure for any virus in the world. There is antibody response that can limit virus activity, and that's as far as technology's ever gotten with these nanomillimeter, extremely small, call them life forms, because I can tell you this, in real science, viruses are the most plentiful biomass in the entire world. In the entire world. It's many times to the 10th power. That's how much of it is. They're extremely tiny, but they make up 5% of our biomass. Viruses. Viruses do many good things for human beings too. It promotes evolution, but we don't know enough about them. The mRNA vaccination, best way to explain it. A bee sting versus a spider latching on to your tissue and implanting in you a reproductive system so that it can have itself reborn using your cells. That's what viruses generally do. That's a virus, an organism, a little one, attaching to the cell, injecting into your cell, and changing the way your cell is going to operate. That's what it is. Now, they have technologies, older vaccines, where they take a piece of that dead virus, so a dead virus that's dead, breaking it off and putting it in your system. So your body triggers immune response. There's a problem with infecting yourself with dead tissues, even at the nanomillimeter particle size. There's complications. There's not enough of immune response. So they came up with the idea of a bee sting. The same protein that virus is injecting over and over as it's latched onto your cell. It's a creature, not really alive, not really dead. They don't know enough, but they know that it manufactures a replication of itself, and it changes your cell to keep producing that in a spike protein and sends out little spiders, so to speak, or little virus organisms exactly like the one that's attached to it. It's reproducing itself. It's reproducing. So mRNA takes that same reproduction, sends it in, and it hits the cell. The cell takes it, does it once. That's it. It manufactures it once. Then the cell breaks down the mRNA, and it's gone. It's a bee sting. It's a bee sting. Just like the needle you get in your arm, your cell gets one too. One-time deal. 10 hours, it's over. Your body all the cells that produced the mRNA, that bee sting, not a creature attached to the cell, continually replicating until that cell's destroyed, or they destroy the virus. But usually the immune system has to surround the whole cell or destroy the cell, and sometimes it's not strong enough. For some folks, the immune response isn't strong enough, and that replication keeps going. That's why people end up in the hospital with various problems and ailments that require massive medical treatment. Not everybody, again, it's a small portion, but that is what mRNA does. A one-time shot, a bee sting to the cell manufactures one, the cell breaks down that mRNA sequence, and it's over, one shot. What happens is your immune system now takes that one manufactured, same as what a virus would do with its living reproduction, but this one-shot deal, immune system hits it, it doesn't replicate again, but the antibodies remain in your blood for many, many months. Is it the end-all and be-all of all viruses? The answer is absolutely not. I'm going to say it again. There's no cure for any virus. We can limit them, we can inhibit them, but we have no known cures for any viruses, none whatsoever. They give you efficacy, and they get better at it with over time, but the reality is most of the viruses can never be cured. They can be slowed down, they can be blocked, they can do all kinds of things, but they've never been able to cure it and eradicate it completely. They don't know enough. That's where we're at with technology that does advance over time. And people do live longer. And it's because of vaccines. Vaccines. People want to live longer. Rich people will always chase the fountain of youth. And they will always use the mass population to explore all of their discoveries and make a ton of money doing it. Do the new boosters from Moderna end all and be all? No, it was a scam. The first two shots, there hasn't really been anything to come out that's made any major gains. And we've been endemic, meaning our systems, whether vaccinated or unvaccinated, have developed enough of a response to restrict COVID to a very limited destructive potential on the population. Still dangerous. I mean, the common cold, influenza is dangerous. Rhinovirus, dangerous at different ages and different levels of health. That's reality. We don't live forever. We're never going to live forever. Maybe they'll find a way to unlock secrets down the road, but we were nowhere near that. Nowhere, not even close. Not even close. In all the 1,000 years of human history, bloodletting was the answer. Prayers, hocus pocus, all kinds of remedies, even the remedies on the shelves today, only give you energy to resist and remove some of your symptoms or block it, but they don't actually cure you of any of these viruses. They don't. They can only make you feel a little better or block some of the things that come with viruses as your body's trying to fight it off. Your body fights it off. There are supports for your body's immune system. COVID-19, after all these years, and vaccinations, everything else, all the data's in. Multiple countries, and misinformation, disinformation. The data's there before, during, introduction of the vaccines, after. If you've had shots, you're not going to die. You're less likely to die with the shots, even still today, than you are without the shots. You want to weigh that? The numbers are so small anyway. That's up to you. I had COVID. I had no problems from it. I have no heart problems. I got no other complications. I don't know anyone in my family who did. The numbers of people with complications from COVID and vaccinations at this point are troubling. But I promise you, COVID created all of it, not vaccines. COVID is a disease to the body. Folks, there are hundreds and hundreds of them out there. Hundreds. And they are always pounding on the human being. It's always there. And we have to evolve with them. And medicine does help. If it didn't, why just 200 years ago did people only live to 35? Why were we disease-ridden forever and a day up until 200 years ago, and then we watch our ages go up? Because before that, for thousands and thousands of years without vaccinations, from Jesus' time, 32, to just 200 years ago, 35 years old. That's it. You work till you die. And I'll tell you, folks, do you know how many children people lost in those days? Even in, if you have a record of even 4 generations in Canada, you can look at disease. Do you know anyone alive today who's had some of these? I know I do. There's tons of stories out there just in the last 100 years, all the way up to the 50s. And we keep going, we keep trying to get better, but if we're going to tell people that vaccines are bad, everything's bad, it's just a lie. It's a whopper of a major lie. There hasn't been any mass death. I can tell you, unvaccinated people in certain age ranges encountering coronavirus have had massive, compared to vaccinated people, heart complications. Myocarditis goes with COVID, even still now today. The numbers are in. Were they as bad as during the pandemic? No. The respiratory ailments, were they as bad during the pandemic? No, because the people are gone. Those people are already passed on. Those weakened, it already wiped out that wave of people who couldn't handle the virus on its introduction. The rest of us are still here. And that's sad. That's life. What can we do about it except for keep exploring medicine? And that's what we do. If it didn't work, again, if none of this stuff worked and we didn't evolve with it, then why do people just in 200 years live beyond 35 years old? For thousands of years, 32 to 35 was as good as it got up to 200 years ago. In the last 150, we've just went like this, doubling our life expectancy. People don't like to hear that stuff, but that's the truth. This video is real, credible, verifiable, and deadly accurate. Everything else people are propagating from these narratives, phony, baloney, and it's problematic. Problematic. It's the lack of civics. It's the lack of understanding and education. Purposely done by the government. It divides everybody across the board. It creates a mass, basically stupid, down, ignorant population. And then they can really take advantage of you. They can really divide you apart. And of course, they have the upper hand. They got all the wealth, and you get all the poverty. Pretty hard to unite people when you have cockamamie at every single angle. Every single angle. And people don't like truth. No, that's not the truth. Okay. Show me a real life expectancy over 35 without vaccinations in the population. Show it. If they're trying to kill everybody on the earth, why did the average life expectancy double since vaccinations and continue? COVID knocked the population down 2 points. That was before the introduction of vaccines, folks. Before the introduction of vaccines, 2 points, at least in the United States of America, before vaccines introduced. You can say lockdowns, I agree. Mental stress, I agree. Stress of bankruptcy, all that, I agree. Losing your business, home, financial standing, job, I agree. But it's not the end all and be all of the story. We can't ignore data. We can't pick and choose which data we accept and then ignore the other. Because if you say this set of data from the same source is accurate, I want to believe, oh, but that's all rigged and fake. Well, you're basically saying the whole system's rigged and faked. And again, I'm going to say it. You can't get more than 2 people on average to hold down a lie. If you could, we wouldn't have all the people going to jail over and over all the time, because people always talk. That's human nature. You try to make a lie with thousands of people in administration and healthcare across the world, you're going to have leaks, you're going to have people telling the truth, and you're going to have prosecutions. Look at Donald Trump and Joe Biden on their top secret documents. People rat. I told my lawyer, then he feels bad. Then he confesses, brings forward, submits. Both Joe Biden caught now too. That's just a couple people in one little lie. 2 people. 2 people too many. And you're going to tell me that thousands of people are participating in a lie, keeping it secret for what gain? Who would ever keep that secret? They'd be the first ones running out there to say, I was working and they told me to corrupt the data and make it up. There's none of that, folks. That's my video. Share, share, share. Learn the truth. Don't be scared about choice to get vaccinated or choice not to get vaccinated. People get cockamamie. You're not bleeding spike proteins. You're not doing all these things. Catching COVID, that can happen over and over and over again, because a living virus replicates using your cells. It's like a spider putting its eggs inside your cell, and your cell keeps spitting them out over and over until the cell's eradicated or the virus is eradicated. But it doesn't stop until one of the two happens. That's why vaccines, that's where the world's at. It'll continue to grow, just like everything else we do. Vehicles get more complex. Space age exploration, more complex. That's what humans do. We evolve, we get better, we make things better. That's what we do. Let's make our governments better. Let's get into constitutionalism, civics. But we're never going to get that done when we keep lying to ourselves, keep propagating propaganda that is all started, sourced from the political parties, right or left. They do it especially in Canada. Thanks. That's my video. Bye now.